Welcome to Every Day is Halloween. Today we have a very good friend, a great supporter, and a young author named Yvette Santana.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
And today we're going to talk a little bit about her book. And she has a book called 50 Shades of Tasting Her. And she recently just put out volume 2. But we're going to talk a little bit more about just the beginning and a little bit about what went through the work and the process of making this book. So we're going to just talk a little bit about like your beginning, like where you're from, and how did you get started in making poetry as well?
Word. Okay, well, originally I'm from the Bronx, specifically the South Bronx. I feel like that's where most of the heart of the culture comes from. There's a lot of diversity in the Bronx that gets underrated, for one. For two, it gets overlooked just by everybody in general, but there's so much talent, especially within the art realm of coming from the South Bronx. You know, you see a lot of artists nowadays coming from the Bronx, and you see a lot of underground artists as well. So I'm just trying to make my name for the Bronx as well.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Word. Poetry has always been a thing. Like, you know, when you're little and like you sit down, you write shit. So it's always been a thing for me. So but
do you remember like how long ago? So it's just like you always been like a writer?
Yeah, I've always been a writer.
Okay.
Even from when I was like first, second grade, writing bullshit shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then like when I went to after school, I used to write in a newspaper, like just
wow.
Yeah, just editing and stuff like that. So I've always been interested in writing. Writing has always been a passion of mine. But specifically, seriously getting into poetry, maybe within the last couple years, it helped me with self-healing. A lot of like, it's a great outlet for me to deal with everything that I'm going through. You know, it's life. So writing is one of those things that you write with passion, you write with emotion, you know, you write with, especially if it's something that you love to do.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it.
That was my phone. All right, you can keep going. My bad.
All right, now you're good. Especially if it's something that you love to do and it's something that you're passionate about, you're just gonna put more effort and it's gonna be a great creation at the end.
How long have you been like publishing your work? Like how long have you been? Have you like when was the first time you actually published like your poetry?
Yeah. So I actually got put onto one of these websites called Create Space, and it's actually a self-publishing website.
Okay.
So I went through that, and the first time I actually got an official published book with my name on it was back in the ending of April.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about that because that's interesting. So you like what kind of like gave you the idea of like I can just publish my own book or my own poetry?
Right.
Yeah, like
okay.
like how did you
where
even
did
like
it come
yeah
from?
like you were like
what was
all
my
right
moment?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so it all started with one piece that I wrote.
Mm.
So I'm a very sexual person. I love being open about my sexuality, about what I want, what I like, and as far as like everybody loves sex. Like everybody loves sex, not just everybody's not honest about it. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, yeah.
So why not just express and explore your sexuality and not be ashamed of it? Especially being a woman, and I'm a gay woman. So it's like dealing with everybody constantly telling you to shut up. Like this was my like moment to be outspoken. So it started with one piece called Tasting Her, and then once I started really writing, it just kept going. Like one page turned into 2 pages, and if you're a writer out there, you know sometimes every time you write, you always spark an idea in the middle of writing your first piece. Oh, that's where you find a second idea for a second piece. Then it just keeps going and it just keeps going.
Okay. So it was kind of like it just spiraled.
Yeah, and it definitely just took off. And then I was like, hey, I should make like a set of pieces. And then I'm like, dude, what if I just fucking wrote a book? Like, why not?
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, I started living my life with, if I can find 3 valid reasons on why not to do something to make myself successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So That's what I did.
Wait, so that's something that you actually tell yourself? Like, what 3 reasons why not to do something?
Yeah, that's what I live my life by, and it's been going pretty fucking awesome.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, yeah. So then, cause like, so you started off with one piece, and then it spiraled into all these other pieces.
Exactly.
But these pieces are specifically like erotic.
Yes.
So are most of your writing like involved with that? And like, what is it about writing erotic like poetry that is appealing to you?
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, like I said, I like to be open about my sexuality, which involves me being a lesbian, and I feel like lesbians are looked at in a very negative way, especially when they talk about eating pussy. Like, you talk about something so blunt as sucking dick or eating pussy, and all of a sudden everybody's like, wait a second. Like,
right, it's like,
like what?
How dare you?
You're
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you think I got here? Like, how do you think you got
how
here,
dare you
bro?
tell the
like,
truth about how? Like,
yeah, how
happens.
dare you tell the truth about sex? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about sexuality. But is it off? Okay.
No, we're good.
All right. That's one of the main reasons why I chose erotic poetry. But the second reason was just because I'm a person who expresses my love and my emotions through sex. So you know how some people do like gestures, some people they buy things for their partners, you know, they do certain things like that. Me, I love sex.
So your gift is
my sexual pleasure to you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then why not just be blunt and honest and open about it? You know what I mean? But
so that's something that you felt like was missing, or something you felt like passionate about.
Yes, I definitely
like
did.
this needs to be like written about.
Because I feel like females in general, if we're too sexual, we're either called a slut, a hoe, or we're like, oh wow, she's nasty. Like, why? You know what I mean? Why can a guy sit there and fuck over maybe 30, 40 girls and he's like, yeah.
Right, just like the double
standard, you know what I mean? Yeah, of life in general. So that's one of the main reasons why I also wanted to just kind of put this in people's faces, like, you can be this way and it's okay. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome. So like, tell me a little bit about like the volume 1 and how that got started, and then also how it went from volume 1 to volume 2, and how long has this been out?
Right. Okay. So my volume 1, like I said, it started off with one piece, and then it just tumbled into multiple pieces. But I kind of felt like the story wasn't done, because if anybody hasn't read it yet, my book is kind of like different. So there's poetry and then there's novels. There hasn't been many poetry novels or poetic novels. So mine is a poetic novel, which means my pieces are poetic format. So all of my pieces are in poetry form.
Right.
But it goes into one storyline of one couple. So it's a love, lust, sex story, but it's in poetry.
Right.
So for all of the poets out there who love to read poetry, I felt like they haven't really found something that's like a continuous story for them. You know what I mean? Like, you read one piece and one piece and one piece and one piece, but like, it sprung into the idea of, what if I put all the pieces together and I connected it?
So it's like you're following this couple's
love story,
but it's like through poetry.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So like, what gave you that idea?
So I'm a lesbian myself, so I go through a lot of different relationships, and I'm going through one relationship in particular that it's just, I felt so emotional about it, and so much passion and so much different kind of things and different emotions that you go through as a female, especially in a relationship, or for anybody who is a lesbian, you know, heterosexual relationships are completely 1000% different than lesbian relationships or, you know, homosexual relationships. So it's just like, I feel like not enough people talk about it, and I wanted to share my love, my passion for writing through my book and through my experiences, and through everything that I have been through to make me get here. You understand?
Yeah.
So
it's like, so you're using like your experience and like using that as a way, like the storyline kind of is influenced by your personal experience.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And then like so it's like also very specifically like erotic, but at the same time has this element of like fetish
Of making you.
and like BDSM kind
Yes,
of
it does.
rough
It does because.
play.
So I personally enjoy causing pain, in a sexual way. So I enjoy smacking. I enjoy using whips. I enjoy tying somebody up, but it has more so to do with me showing my appreciation and me showing everything I feel sexually through this. So it's not like the common misconception of like, okay, BDSM, we love to just see them in pain. It's like more of a, I get off because you're in pain because you need me right after you're in pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you need me to settle that pain.
But it also reminds me similar, because it reminds, like, it's almost like you're going through like y'all both are like learning about that together.
Right. Yes.
And then it's like 50 Shades of Taste in her, so it's like 50 Shades of Grey, like that.
Right, it is. So that kind of actually, I was like, wow, so that would be dope if like lesbians were in it too. Like, you know
so it's like,
and it's also my sexual experiences, and it's also what I'm learning, and it's also what she's learning, and it's just like, it's in the realm of exploring something new about yourself and being okay with it, and exploring something different about what you like, about who you are, about what you like enjoying with your partner. You understand what I mean? So it wasn't to focus just on BDSM, and although I enjoy it, it was to help people see that they can expand their sexual experiences with their partner and it be okay. You know what I mean? And BDSM, I chose that in particular because, for one, BDSM people are either not ashamed, but it's just very underground, and it's very like, oh, you know, that's like secretive, or oh, if they're into that, then they're like, you know, they're a little off, but it doesn't have to necessarily be that.
Right.
You just,
I feel like it just gives you like a space to explore.
Exactly.
That
yeah, you're taking the first steps, and it's okay. Like, it's okay.
Right. No, totally. So where do you see like this going? Like this like 50 Shades of Taste in her. Like, how do you see a volume 3? And then also, what can we expect from volume 2?
Right. Yeah. All right. So I won't talk about a volume 3 yet, but I can say that volume 2 is 20 times better than volume 1, just because I had time to put in more effort than I did with the first one. And I'm not ashamed to say that, you know, an artist just progresses through their workings. So I am proud of my second volume. You actually are credited with the photos that are on the cover. Shout outs out here. Yeah, appreciate it. So so volume 2 is way more intense. Volume 1 is more of foreplay. So there's a lot of interactions. There's like kissing, there's, you know, touching, fondling, definitely eating pussy, definitely everything. But there's another one in volume 2 volume 2 is way more intense, and volume 2 is sorry, I'm just doing some producer shit. Yeah. So volume 2 is more of intercourse. Okay. So volume 2 is more of. Oh, so then it gets into it. It gets way more into it. Okay. It gets way into it. But since it is like a love story and like it has a relationship storyline to it, there is that point in time where like they fall off, and then, you know, they just. Yeah. Sorry. It's just like. Can you cut that out? Yeah. Wait, can you just flip the thing? Yeah. So I can like. Alright, yeah. Okay, we're good. Alright, cool. Sorry. You're good. Don't worry about it. So volume 2 is like, it jumps right into it. So volume 1 is more of like soft play, I would say, and then volume 2 is more of, okay, come here, like this is what she waited for, this is what I waited for, this is what I wanted to explore, and it goes more in depth into tying her up. It goes more in depth up to me in control of her, and yeah, it's just like a mix of everything into it.
I'm excited. It's gonna be
I am
great.
very excited.
Yeah. So this is gonna come out soon, right?
It is gonna come
When
out
is this gonna come out?
Okay, so the actual release date I'm doing is going to be next week. It's going to be next week.
Okay.
Most likely next week, Friday.
Okay, and we'll probably put this out Sunday, so I get to see this beforehand.
Definitely. That was my whole idea. I definitely wanted to have an opportunity to talk about it and to express where my ideas came from and stuff like that, just because a lot of people are thinking about the same things you're thinking about. 9 times out of 10, they just don't know how to say it, or they don't want to say it.
Right. So just now you can just get it all out there.
Right.
Yeah. I feel you. So this is gonna come out next week. I know that you are gonna have a reading August.
Yes, August 24th.
24th.
I am having a
Bronx
reading
Native.
at Bronx Native Shop on Lincoln Avenue.
127 Lincoln Avenue.
Yes, I am, for the new release of my book. Amadis, he's definitely very cool. He sat down with me. We're having a show and an event. My friend is also performing first. Her name is Chris Belly. So she's also a poet, and she also goes not into the same world that I do, obviously, but she's dope. She writes different kind of poetry. She also raps, so her style and her art is very different, and it's very cool.
That's awesome. I can't wait. So we're just about done. Let people know your social media, your Instagram.
Yeah, definitely.
Where can people find you?
Yes, so I have a book page called poetry_LGBTQT_author_. Go follow that on Instagram. And then my personal account is tinies_creation_.
Hey. And you already know every day is Halloween. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube. Check us out. And you're here with Sad Sack. We out. Every day's Halloween. Deuces.
Later.
Shout outs to Creature 2 here in the back.
Word. That's my brother, y'all.